Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special event. This is a author interview with Cate Quinn, which I'm very excited to have her on here. I also have my co-host Hope and Heather. And yeah, this is the Sleep When I'm Dead book club pick. We have the clinic. I have my copy right here, and I have all my beautiful tabs on the side. Um, but yeah, do you want to introduce yourself and just give us like a brief overview of who you are and all that stuff?
Sure. Well, so I'm Cate Quinn. I'm an author. I've written a lot of books now. I used to write historical fiction as a kind of way of getting into publishing, and then I moved on to kind of my main love, which is thrillers. So I had a book in the US called Black Widows, which was a psychological thriller about a polygamous marriage where the husband is murdered. And I kind of like to base books on like my real life experiences. So that was kind of based on some of my upbringing with like strong religion. And then this book here, The Clinic, again, is based on some of my own experiences of being in rehab for alcoholism. So yeah, I like to bring a lot of myself to the books, I guess, is my style.
Nice, nice. All righty. Well, we have some questions for you. I'll go ahead and start. So first thing is, what are you currently reading?
So I'm so glad I saw these questions because I'm so lucky because as an author I get to read the ARCs. So I get a lot of like advanced review copies, and one just arrived for me today, which I'm so excited about. It's by Laura Marshall, who wrote Friend Request, who I know, and this is her. So a good place, isn't that cool? A good place to hide a body. I'm so excited, and I love Friend Request, and me and Laura, we are kind of friends, and she sent me a request on Facebook, and I was like, Laura, if I accept this request, like, am I going to break the internet? Like, if I accept a friend request from Laura Marshall, author of Friend Request, like, what happens there? I don't know if that's the first time she heard that joke. Probably not.
No, I love that. I'm actually writing that down so I can go check that one out.
What great. I'm just going to show you the cover again because great title, right? A good place to hide a body.
And the cover's beautiful too.
The cover's beautiful. Yeah, I'm really excited to read this one.
Nice.
All right, well, I will ask the next question. What is something that not many people know about you?
So not many people know about me that I have a twin sister who is also an author and has written a lot of best-selling books. And actually, she's my favorite author. Like, I love her books.
Oh. Who is she, if you don't mind sharing?
No, I mean, you could find out. Susie Cate Quinn, she writes under. So it is the same surname.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's written a lot of different books. She has written thrillers, but she writes currently kind of more, I want to say like mum, like kind of comedy sort of mum books currently. But I love her books.
Okay. Oh, that's so sweet. That's cool that y'all get to do that together and kind of have that to share with each other.
Cool. Yeah, because she gets to edit my books too. So it's like having an extra me come fresh to the story, which is super helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. When did you decide you wanted to be a writer, and were you a big reader growing up? I always love that question.
Oh my gosh, I love your accent so much. So I decided when I was like, I don't even remember not thinking I wanted to be an author. So there was never a point when I decided it, but I do remember when I would have been like 6, when they asked you what you want to be when you grow up, drawing a picture of myself at a desk with like author, written underneath. But I already knew at that point.
That's awesome.
Let's see. How would you describe your typical day as an author?
So my typical day, I would get up at 5 a.m. So yeah, I am one of those weird people. I've got 2 kids, so I kind of have to do that because otherwise I pick them up at school or they're home from school at 3. And so otherwise I don't get a full day. So I get up at 5. That's a really nice time actually because there's no interruptions, no email. do a lot of writing, then go in, like make my kids breakfast or whatever, get screamed at, all that good stuff. Like get my kids to school, come back, like write some more until like school pick up. So it's mainly around the kids. And I do sometimes, if I'm super busy, get up early on like a weekend too, like on a Saturday or something at 5 again, do a bit of work.
Nice.
Do you have any interesting writing quirks or habits?
So not really. Like I would love to give you a great answer for this, because I fear this is like every writer's answer, which is like coffee. Like I'm a massive coffee addict, and like every writer I know is like coffee. And Catherine Ryan, who she just wrote a book that got made into a film, I think. She's an amazing thriller writer. She gave me this like super great tip. We both have these Nespresso machines, and she like literally brings hers with her in the car if she's on like book signing tours. And I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. That's so convenient. So now like I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, they're quite portable. Like, so I can do my 5 a.m. coffee, but that's not very interesting. Sorry.
No, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, that kind of leads into the next question. It was, do you have any favorite writing snacks or beverages? So the coffee, but any snacks or anything?
Definitely coffee. I mean, I'm super bad for like doing that thing where you work like really, really hard and then like don't eat and then like have like a chocolate bar and like a packet of chips or something for lunch.
Yeah.
That's like if I'm really hardworking. Like in my mind, I eat super healthy. Like if anyone actually showed me, like I'd be like really shocked. Like, no, that's like an unusual day. But like I think in reality, like my unusual days are like more often than not. I don't eat so well.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
same.
Cool. So when you get a new idea, how long does it typically take to go from a spark of an idea to the whole writing process?
So, I mean, if I get an idea that I'm really excited about, I will kind of just get going right away and normally like write quite a lot. So that I can almost get like kind of hyper focused on it. So I'll have an idea and then I can maybe like obsessively write about that idea for like a month until such a point as I get stuck. And then I start to look back and wish that I had just cooled off a bit and done a bit more research at the beginning or like a bit more character or something. Yeah, but that's just, it's just who I am, it's my style.
What do you like to do when you're not writing?
When I am not writing, I like to write. There's not much that I do that isn't writing. I mean, I like hanging out with my kids and my partner. Trying to think. I kind of like, I mean, I like TV, but actually really for research for my writing. So I will kind of gear it to like, oh, I'm watching some TV, but I want to watch this forensic program. So yeah, it's pretty much like what I eat, sleep and breathe. And I probably should be a bit more measured, but I'm working on it.
Who is your favorite character that you've written and why?
I mean, I really like all the characters in Black Widows. So we kind of had 3 wives and we had Rachel, who was like more of a kind of head girl kind of character, very rule abiding, very serious and proper. And then Emily, who was younger and beautiful and this sort of crazy, slightly pathological liar. And then we had Tina, who was kind of almost like a Vegas kind of almost showgirl, but a bit older with life experience. And I just really loved writing about how those women saw one another and their experiences with one another and kind of watching their relationships kind of grow.
Oh, nice. So what is your favorite thing about being an author? And if you weren't an author, what would you be doing now?
So my favorite thing about being an author, I mean, I just love it so much. Like a lot of times, I will literally be almost too excited to sleep because I know that I'm going to wake up and like write in the morning. And I'm just so excited to find out like what's going to happen in my book the next day. I really love it. I was a journalist before I wrote books and I kind of did enjoy that. And it was a good job to have in your 20s. And I got a lot of interesting experiences because I did a lot of travel and lifestyle journalism. So I wasn't necessarily at a desk. So I guess probably I would be doing journalism, but most likely I would just be writing books and not getting paid for it. Probably.
Do you treat yourself after you publish a new book?
No, I don't. And I have author friends. I'm always kind of like, damn, I should do that. Like, I've got friends who are like pouring themselves glasses of champagne, which obviously I, being a former alcoholic, I would not do, but celebrating that sort of moment. Normally when my books get published, the way it works time-wise, because they're on an annual thing, I'm literally like knee deep in the edits for the next book. So that's normally a super busy time, and that has happened, I think, almost every time. So
Wow.
I'm like, a part of my headspace is like, oh, I should, have a celebrate. But then another part is like, oh, I need to get this edit down.
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie, I had to look up what this word meant in this next question because I'm not in the writing community. But would you consider yourself a plotter or a pantser when writing?
So like a bit of both. I definitely used to be a plotter, and then what I found was when I would write the beginning and I would have a plot in mind and I would be writing carefully to the plot. And then when I got to the end and I was like physically in that scene and emotionally in that scene, I realized that for whatever reason, like that scene couldn't reasonably happen. Like actually those people wouldn't feel that way, or when I was in there, it wasn't working. So so now I do a bit both. I tend to pants as I plot. That's so I tend to like write as an act of plotting, I suppose. So I write the beginning, then I skip to the end and write the end. So I am kind of plotting, but I'm doing it like, and then I make sure I leave space at the beginning so I can go back now that I know the ending and fill in any details that I've missed.
Nice. I'm always curious about that, because like I also like one of my like bucket list things is to write a book, and so I'm always curious like how other authors like plan it out, or if they plan it, and what it all turns out to be. So that's really interesting. And
Yep.
I'll be honest, you're the first person that says they kind of do both. So
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who definitely like meticulously plan, and I'm a little bit envious because I think that would be good. I think I'm too impatient to get writing, but I do sometimes think, I kind of wish I did do a bit more like forward plotting. I have a friend who even knows like all the emotional moments that are going to happen and that kind of thing. She plots all of that.
Oh, wow.
Her books are really good too. That's Laura Shepherd Robinson. She does the historical. I think her recent one is 7 of Squares, but she also did, I want to say Blood Sugar, I think it was. Really good books.
Writing that down too.
I know, I'm writing down every book you mentioned.
Yep, they're on my other screen in a bunch of different tabs.
Is there an author, dead or alive, that you wish that you could have them read your books, and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of authors, I guess. I mean, Dan Brown, I would love to read my books, because I just think he's like such a master of like that kind of page turning suspense. And I guess I would like to get some tips. I guess there must be all kinds of reasons why you would have someone read your book, right? Like, I mean, also just for the recommendation, I suppose. So like pick a super famous author. Oh, actually, the name's I'm so bad with names going out of my head when I'm on the spot. The Daisy and the Six author, Taylor Jenkins Reid, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm a massive fan, and I would love for her to read my books.
Oh, she's one of my favorites, so good choice.
She's so good, yeah.
Out of all of the books that you've written, is there one that you're the most proud of?
So I get asked this a lot, actually, and people, I guess sometimes people want to know like which one should I read. For me, it's always the one I have written last, because I feel like every book is like a learning process, and every book that I do is a little bit better for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've improved upon some things. I'm really, really open to feedback. I love getting like really detailed edits. I think because I I self-published in the beginning, so I didn't have those edits. So when you don't have that process and you publish, you realize the edits are like the reviews, so like actually those are your edits, only you kind of wish you had them before, because when you get some bad reviews, you're like, damn, I could have changed that. So I think that whole process of going through the self-publishing thing has made me like spectacularly open to know I would rather have the edits now than have them in review form. And actually, in every book that I publish, you can't get everything right. And I do always read the reviews really carefully. And I kind of, the 1 and the 2-star reviews, I pretty much dismiss as like, they're people who are just in the wrong place. Like they would probably never have liked my books. They feel missold or kind of cheated in some way. So maybe like, to me, that's like an issue of like the cover, the title, the way the premise was sold, like kind of out of my hands. But the 3 stars, I read really, really carefully. And almost every book, like I read the 3 stars and I'm like, I learned something that I feel like, okay, great, I can take this forward to the next book.
That's really cool to have both the experience of self-publishing and now being traditionally published, to be able to look and, take the value from both experiences to your current work. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. What are some challenges you face as an author?
Well, I think there are challenges for being self-employed in general, where everybody assumes that your time is like completely free. Like people will, like my parents will show up, because it's like I'm not working and I don't book the holiday. They kind of just assume, that time is free. And with the kids too, so that kind of eats into your time. But I said that's probably a challenge for all self-employed people. But I think personally as an author, I am more challenged by characters than by plot. So I'm always having to work on my characters, and like every book I kind of do another layer really of like characterization, because that's definitely a challenge for me.
So cool.
All right, it would not be a Sleep When I'm Dead book club live or interview or anything if I didn't ask my famous question. And if you had to describe the clinic only using 3 words, which ones would you use?
3 words I've got.
3 words.
Murder in rehab.
Love that.
So we know from reading the acknowledgments and the author's note that this story may hit close to home. And if you're comfortable, would you care to share any of the details and how the process of writing this particular story was?
Yeah, I mean, I could. This could be a long story, but I won't make it too long. So for this book, I myself went to rehab, not with the intention of writing a book, but for my own personal issue with alcoholism. I had essentially been an alcoholic pretty much my whole life without really realizing that was the case. I was very functional with it. I live in the UK, so I think that there's a big culture. We start drinking really quite young, and there's very much a culture of kind of making it okay to drink, kind of, particularly sort of having a glass of prosecco, and we have a lot of stuff that kind of seems to enable like heavy drinking and masking that. So it was only when I tried to. So my kids were, I think, I remember how old they were. My kids were getting to the age where they were staying up a little bit later, and I didn't want for them to see me drinking alcohol. And I think my level of tolerance had gone up so high over my lifetime of drinking that I was drinking like really heavily and not really realizing how much I was drinking. So they were getting to the age where they were staying up late. I did not want to see me like with a glass of wine or something. But when I tried to stop, I realized like I couldn't stop. And I remember like very distinctly kind of looking myself in the mirror and just thinking, well, then I guess, I'm just going to have to like die young, because I can't stop this. I can't solve this problem. I can't give it up. And I knew it was damaging my health. And I was frightened because my dad was also an alcoholic, and I did not want my kids to have the experiences that I had had with an alcoholic parent. So I think a few days after that, I have been asked this, and I genuinely can't remember how many days, but a few days after that, I made the decision, okay, I need like some bigger help than is available to me. So I checked into rehab to stop drinking and spent a month in rehab, like getting over that addiction.
And this one kind of ties into that. We're just curious if you experienced any of the lavish treatments that were mentioned throughout the story.
Well, I did, yeah, because I used to be a travel journalist. So I kind of my experience of being in rehab, a lot of that, the premises was based on actually this old house that I did attend rehab in. But then as a travel journalist, I had also been to these incredibly lavish places, and I kind of wanted to join those two experiences and kind of take everyone away on like a fun adventure to the world's most luxurious. So I kind of picked the best of the things that I'd done kind of around the world, and I kind of put them all in this rehab. So there's a luxury spa that I went to in Switzerland, which was amazing, which was like this labyrinthine cave with like a scent cave and a sound cave, and was kind of spooky, and I thought would be a fun thing. What if someone was like pursuing you through this kind of maze? And then the sweat lodge, there was a sweat lodge on the premise. I went to a sweat lodge, swear to God, thought I was going to die, honestly thought I was going to die in that sweat lodge. And I really like the heat as well. And I was like, my heart was pounding so fast. And all of us were sobbing. I mean, it was an incredible experience. Like we were just all of us, like it was dark, but it was very emotional. And then the cryotherapy, so like the ice chamber, and I looked this up the other day because I couldn't believe it actually went so low. I think it is like something like -100, and I had to go and look again and be like, surely that's not possible because you would die. But that, I think it is something crazy like that. And that was really interesting. So you go in for like 3 minutes. You have to wear like mitts on your hands, cover up any metal like jewelry. The minute you go inside, you get like snow like in your nose. Like anything that's like moist, like instantly freezes. I was in there for 3 minutes. It actually felt okay, like it wasn't too bad. But then when I got out, it was like I had like mainlined like 5 espressos. I was like completely high. I went to see some friends and I like could not stop talking. So it obviously had like some sort of effect.
Oh my gosh, wow. Now I'm like picturing all the scenes in the book, and I'm like, okay, so yeah. So now I'm like, I don't know. That's so cool that you shared that experience, especially the last one, because I was like, man, this is like really intense. So,
Yeah.
Out of all the characters in the clinic, was there one that you had the most fun writing or creating for the story?
I really enjoyed the main character, Meg. So, I mean, Meg was so much fun because she's kind of, she is addicted to prescription painkillers and kind of doesn't exactly know she has a problem. But Meg is so tough, and yet so vulnerable. And I also has this amazing ability to read people because she plays poker and has this great skill and has really kind of made the most out of a really tough upbringing and made it work for her. So, and if you obviously you've all read the book, and I'm not going to give anything away, but Meg kind of has a secret, which is a lot at the core of the book, to her character, and I really enjoyed giving that character a different spin than is normally seen in like mainstream fiction.
I really enjoyed reading Meg. She's a really good character.
Thank you.
So one thing that I think is unique about this book is Meg and her experience in the gambling world. Are you someone who has played and enjoyed poker like Meg does in the book?
So you're getting the impression now, right? Like I do all these things before I write the book. So yeah, I mean, I can't say that I'm especially good at poker or anything, but yeah, I definitely. I mean, I read a lot of first-person accounts from poker players, and I played poker in casinos and online places just to get the vibe of. I feel like I've forgotten it all now. I also hosted like the funniest poker night with some friends of mine. and we were all being like such women about. We were literally like, oh no, I think you won that hat. Yeah, like the complete opposite of how men yoga, like not bluffing or anything, and like being really honest. But that was fun. So yeah, I mean, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I have an aptitude for poker.
I know Meg is someone that you probably see yourself in, but I'm curious about Kara and why you chose to have those two points of view.
So Kara is definitely like the least popular with readers for sure, and I think a lot of that reason is because you're seeing her through Meg's eyes a lot, and Meg does not like Kara at all. So I definitely wanted to have the contrast of those two characters. So Kara is a very rule-abiding person. She does things by the book. She's very diligent. She, if you gave her a job to do, she would do that job really, really well, just for the joy of doing it. And that's not exactly the opposite of Meg, but Meg definitely can see the grey areas between rules and what is necessary to be done. So I kind of wanted a little bit of conflict with those characters. So I suppose Kara is really there just to show off Meg a little bit more, I guess. But she does also have her own kind of journey that she goes on herself.
Yeah, Meg is definitely my favorite character out of the two, but I like both of them.
And it's cool that we get somebody who's in the clinic, like for the rehab, and then somebody who knows like the ins and outs of the working of the clinic. So it was cool to have both of those perspectives.
Yep.
I want to personally say I love how the story ended, but I'm curious if there's a possibility we might see some of the other characters again. Some of the side characters.
You know, someone asked me this the other day. I think it was on my mind like a little bit for Meg, because she has a skill set that goes beyond rehab, right? So she is this amazing poker player, and she works in a casino kind of on an undercover sort of sting operations, like either catching hustlers or loan sharks. So I could definitely see another book from Meg where she is able to take those skills into like a different realm and maybe solve another mystery or crime using those skills in that world.
Sorry, I keep coughing, so I have to turn my microphone off. What is a book you'd recommend to people who love the clinic?
Oh, so a book that I'm like constantly book buddies with at the moment, which I love, is a book called The Resort, which I'm like, you guys have probably seen, by Sarah Ox. I hope I'm saying her name right. It's called The Dive in the UK. But like for sure, I would recommend that book. That it has in many ways a lot of similarities. It's kind of a luxury islandy sort of destination place with like a group of like suspects. And then the obvious one would be A Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I hope I'm saying that right too. And he was kind enough to read Black Widows actually and give me a nice blurb on that. So I want to return the favour by saying his book's awesome, but I'm sure he doesn't need my endorsement because he's doing pretty well for himself.
Nice, love that. I wrote all of this down, and I also loved The Silent Patient as well. It's one of the most recommended thrillers that I talk about all the time. So, okay. So, lastly, do you have any upcoming plans or projects that you're willing to share with us?
So, I've just finished like a little mini book tour of the US, and that was so much fun. But it was in the South, you guys. So honestly, by the end of the week, like I literally couldn't eat. I had eaten so much like chicken and biscuits, and I was like, I can't. I'm like, I haven't been hungry for 4 days, but it was great food. So that one is just done. I guess we're going to see about the paperback. I wanted to show you actually, just because I have it here. Would you like to see the UK cover versus the US?
Yes,
it's pretty similar this time because sometimes they're quite different. So I'm going to give you this one first. Hang on. So this is UK, and this is sorry, other way around. This is US, and this is UK. So you probably wouldn't even know the difference, right? But
it's a little brighter, maybe.
UK has like a brighter. Hang on, what's this one? Has like a brighter sort of colorway, so it's kind of bluer.
And
so they're so similar. You know what? On this screen, they're so similar. They look a bit more different in real life. Maybe I'm a bit flashy with light. So I don't know if you guys have a preference. It seems pretty split. I like them both. I like the spooky. Yes.
Yeah. I also noticed there's a light on in the top of the UK one versus
Oh,
Yep.
well, I didn't notice that. But fun fact as well was the house in this book. So I based the clinic on the clinic that I personally went to, but the exterior, because I wanted it in the southwest, was based on a house in Eureka because I wanted it as one of the old Queen Anne sort of houses. And when they did the cover, they literally, the designer used like the house that I had based like my house on, and I had never spoken to them or I was like, oh my god, that's the same, that's the one. And they even sent me the pictures that they'd used, and I was like, oh, I can't believe it's the same. I mean, there's not so many houses like that, but I still thought it was like a fun coincidence.
Oh my gosh.
And I know y'all probably don't get a whole lot of input on covers. Sometimes I hear that in interviews with authors a lot.
Yeah.
So that's cool that something so personal to what went into the story ended up on the cover.
Yeah, well, another bonus of being self-published actually is you really realize as an author that you have to step back from things like covers, because I think almost no author likes their I mean, this is actually, well, I really love this cover. I love this cover so much. But, often it doesn't represent what you feel. But I think being self-published, I kind of realized that the point of the cover is to sell the book. And I'm down with that. So as long as the cover is going to sell the book, I can definitely step back. And I have also put up cover concepts when I've been given a choice, and I just put them up on like Facebook, it would have been at the time, thinking to myself, like, oh, look at that ugly cover there, like, and they're never going to pick that one. And then all my readers, like, literally pick the cover I hate. So since having had that experience, I am totally open to I may not know the best cover for my book, so I'm just going to leave that to someone else to decide.
Yeah. I know a lot of other people were also really excited for it to be an aardvark book club pick as well, so they were able to get their hands on it through that way. And I think the cover is just beautiful. I think it's awesome that both visions kind of lined up a little bit. So, but yeah, love it. Hope, Heather, did y'all have any other questions off the top of your head or anything?
No, I think we hit everything that I had.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I loved the inclusion of the little kitty cat Tequila in the book.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love Tequila. I should have put Tequila. Don't put Tequila at the end. I might have missed poor Tequila off. But I love the three of them all, like this sort of slightly mangy cat that only Meg can love. Yeah, I love cats.
That's like, the only thing that she really is attached to at the beginning, and I loved it.
Well, if there ever is a sequel, we need to see Tequila make a comeback.
Yes.
Yeah. Because sometimes like that is the sort of thing that can actually get forgotten. So it's quite good to remember Meg has a cat. That's important.
Well, thank you again so much for taking time to sit with us, answer our questions. I know all of the book club members are going to be super excited to have this opportunity to hear from you and get more of a inside scoop on you and your writing and your book. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and thank you so much for reading it.
Thank you.
I am going to leave the author's website, all of her information down below, as well as the links to her books, the book club, everyone that you see on screen, so that way you can check it all out. And with that, I will hit end recording, and thank you so much.